Hello, welcome to another social briefing, and it's the end of November, so this makes it our final one of 2025. We've got through a whole nother, well, not quite 12 months because we don't do one in December, but a whole nother year of changes in the crazy world of social media.
Yeah, it's been wild. It's been wild.
It
I can't believe
has,
this year's gone. It's insane.
it has been wild. So let's dive in. Thank you for joining us. I know some of you watch us regularly. Some of you may be new. If we haven't met, we'll do this slide very quickly. Here's us. Here's our QR codes to go to our LinkedIn profiles. My name is Luann. I'm a social media marketing consultant, trainer, author. So I'm sharing my insights, updates, recommendations today from both a kind of research and practitioner point of view.
Love it. Love it. And I'm Andy, if we've not yet met. This is me. This is my profile, yada, yada. And yeah, the lens that I typically look at stuff through is through like B2B software and SaaS type of narratives. And that's generally like this B2B lens is generally the lens that Luann and I look at all of these updates through. So they'll be kind of framed in that context. But anyway, let's move on. Let's start with a bit of fun, shall we?
Yeah, just a huge thank you. If you did join us in London, was it 2 weeks ago? Part of me feels like it was yesterday, part of me feels like it's forever. 2 weeks ago, we hosted our now annual B2B Social Day Forum in London. Had an amazing day. Thank you for those that joined us. Thank you for those that posted LinkedIn updates. All the photos are now available and on the website. This is just a few. We had a great range of speakers, different topics, panel discussions. I don't think anyone actually played ping pong, but we had some great conversations throughout the day and since as well. So we are going to do it all again, and because we're marketers and it's Black Friday week, why don't we do a Black Friday offer? So if you joined us this year, if you missed out this year and you want to come along next year, get yourself organised with a friend. It will be the same venue. It will be the same format, different speakers and topics. We haven't got those secured yet, but we're working on it. But a Black Friday offer for you until midnight on Friday will be 2 for 1 tickets. So that's 2 people. 2 of you can come along for £197 plus VAT. So find a friend, find a colleague, and get booking at socialdaybtb.co.uk by midnight on Friday.
Love it. Yeah, I think it's always good. It's always, an experience is better when it's shared. So so it's nice that you can bring a friend, etc. So yes, hopefully we'll see a lot of other familiar faces there. Basically, it just felt like a gathering of friends a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And I miss it already.
Yes, I hugged a lot of people.
But before we dive in, let's crack on. We got a lot coming your way, but also actually, I think it's a more manageable amount. The updates haven't been as insane over the course of November as they are in previous months. Again, this is the format. It's kind of like no BS. Look at the macro trends that are shaping social media. We're not going to look at every single molecular update. We're looking at the bigger things. Yes, there are some immediate actionable things you can take away from today. You don't need to do all of them, as we always say. Pick the things that are right for your audience and you. But we'll talk about also what this actually means and the broader implications of each of these updates, because there are broader thematic things at play here. It feels like social media is like just crazy melee of things that are going on, but actually we've structured this into 4 to 5 like key trends that are typically shaping social. So I think that's it. Oh, that QR code there is the link to get the slides. We send them out after the session. So yeah, just go ahead, pop your name on that if you want to get the slides as well. And of course, this session is recorded, etc. You can just view it again by clicking on that LinkedIn link. But with that, Luann, should we kick off?
Yeah, so the first section today is more control over what we're consuming on social media, which again, have two mindsets on this. There's you as a user, but also be thinking about what this means for your customers or your clients' customers and who you're working for as well, because there is kind of knock-on effects of all of these. But the first one to be aware of won't affect many of us directly right now, but on the 10th of December in Australia, social media will be banned for under 16s. This is not across all social media platforms. There's a list and it is growing. It is, as you would expect, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube has been added, Twitch has been added. WhatsApp, interestingly, isn't part of the ban. What is happening right now in Australia is that if you're under 16, you will be getting a notification on platforms like Facebook and Snapchat to say your account, unless you verify your age as being over 16, will be archived from the 10th of December. I think also if you then turn 16 in the next year or so, you can get your archive back. Otherwise, if you're much younger, you will lose it completely. This is a bit of a trial country for this to be happening in. Other countries are talking about it. Denmark, for example, we have got more online safety regulations in the UK. So while we think what's happening in Australia won't impact us, it's something to watch, see what happens, and see where else it goes.
I think there's a lot of legislative parity between Australia and UK. So I think it's an interesting one to watch. I think also feeds into that broader trend that we were looking at briefly before a few weeks ago, where the FT were reporting like a decline for the first time in since social media, decline in the time that younger audiences were spending on social. So there's a interesting dynamic at play.
Yeah. Andy, I have a question for this. Is this your screenshot or one that you just grabbed?
The one that we're looking at here?
Yeah. Is it from your own Instagram?
No, one I grabbed.
Oh, okay. So I'll share why I smiled. Because Instagram now, you may have seen this as a pop-up. You can click onto, you can go and find it. You can now tune your own algorithm. So what are you seeing in your feed? So Andy, if this is just a screenshot and you haven't seen this, I clicked on it in my feed and it says at the top, it says, lately you've been into, and then it lets you change it. I've been into watching too much Claudia Winkleman outfits and hairstyles, apparently, when I looked, which is not actually what I think I watched, but maybe it's tuning in to the Traitors and Strictly. So I found it quite amusing, made me think, but do have a look at what you've been tuning into. And if you want to make tweaks as to what you're seeing in your kind of view feed in the algorithm, make some changes.
Yeah, it's interesting that.
Yeah. Also, within these controls, and quite interestingly, a few of the platforms are doing this around AI content. TikTok will allow you, going into your managed topics, what you're going to see, to limit if you want to see less AI created content. So not just kind of all or nothing, but a specific limitation around you seeing AI created content, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah, there's seems to be a bit of a temperature change on social media, right? Because like TikTok already allows you to manage topics like the Instagram algorithm tuning. Is like more control seems to be coming back to the user, which is quite interesting.
Because I guess if you're not going back to the platform and spending time there, you're that's what they want you to do. So they need to give you those options to kind of opt out. Meta, again, similarly, improving how they handle AI content. So more about the watermarking process, just making it really clear if you are using AI. So maybe it's time to think about, how do your audiences respond to AI created content? Are you making it really clear? I've seen some kind of AI versions of people recently, but they've made it really clear that it was, and they were experimenting with it. But it's certainly something to kind of have in mind if you are using AI for your content. Will your audience limit it? Is it being tagged correctly?
Right. So they're kind of, I guess, the counter trend to all of that, because I find those updates that you just shared, Luann, really interesting, because even though it's subtle, it represents a bit of a shift going on. Like there's a little bit of a pushback from audiences being like blasted with Gen AI content. And there seems to be a little bit of kind of audience reticence around it, which is really interesting to witness. I think for us, like social media folk on the call, I think this is something that we would have predicted and expected, right? We're on social for the genuine human connections, and we're trying to build our social strategies around our business to try and reach the right people, genuine connection, etc. So the counter trend is, again, we've reported this numerous times, so this isn't a new trend, the importance of communities. And yeah, I found this particularly interesting. Buffer always do great research. I expect you like this one as well.
I did like this one, yeah.
It's so good. Like, we've always known the thesis behind this, right? getting more commentary on your post will increase your reach. But we've never seen the data behind how much comments on your post actually increase your reach. And what's really encouraging is, one, to see Threads at the top, and quite by how much, like 42% reach in 42% lift in reach when you have comments and you respond to comments too. And same, LinkedIn sees a similar boost. I'm sure you'll all see that. For the most liked comments, are things that you keep on seeing in your LinkedIn feed are typically the ones that have a bunch of comments on it. So again, speaks to the power of community, speaks to the impact of comments. We've always known it, but now we've got some data to really prove it. And this kind of builds on what Threads is doing right now. I think there's a lot of goodness happening on Threads, and I think the timing of Threads is increasingly good. Yes, they timed it along with Elon's acquisition of X and the fallout. That was obviously a great boost for them. But what's really boosting them is a lot of the people that are kind of turning away from a bit of the typical, recommended feeds of short form content and a bombardment of AI generated content. It's now leaning Threads more into community led activity. And of course, that community led and that narrative does come, it's a double-edged sword, right? Sometimes it comes with some negative narrative. So now we've got a bit more brand safety, so we can, have reply approval. So this can ensure that the commentary is healthy on our content. Similar to this, I think this is really useful. Threads activity filters, look at the people that's mentioning you, the people that you follow, where those narratives and those questions and the commentary coming from. Again, nothing particularly new compared to what you could already do on X or LinkedIn in certain cases. But again, it just helps us really think about how we use Threads in our mind, rather than just thinking about, I've put out a post, let's hope I get loads of engagement. I'm actually thinking more from a Threads point of view, like how can we drive meaningful, relevant interaction with the right people? And that's where all these kind of community platforms are playing in, which I really like. Similar point to Threads, who have been on a bit of a tear of late. Podcast promo tools. We all know podcasts are doing particularly well, but of course quite hard to promote outside of like short clips on social. So now they're being more overt about helping us promote our podcast directly within our profile. Threads is also more friendly to links as well, as we saw some data a few months ago, actually, where the decrease in impressions is not as drastic on Threads when you include a link. So generally looks like quite a healthy tool for brands to build those tighter communities around the audience that we seek to serve, and allow us to share the relevant educational content to support that community. So lots of good stuff happening at Threads. So sorry for my long narrative on Threads, but I'm curious on your take as well, Luann.
I've had a conversation about it already today, that the numbers on Threads really stack up right now for a couple of reasons. One, the features that we've talked about, but two, they have now just overtaken X in terms of daily active users. And I think we shared last month, we now have some data around the demographic profile of Threads users globally. And quite interesting, my correlation is that it doesn't feel like it's an X audience that have made the exodus and move over to Threads, because actually the demographic profile of Threads is younger. It's the 16 to 24s, the 25 to 34, which almost mirrors the Instagram audience. So all the work that Instagram have been doing so heavily to cross-promote Threads seems to have paid off. So again, we haven't got that mirroring of X Twitter. We've actually got a new platform that is coming through, and the numbers and the features are really starting to stack up. It feels like it's a bit easier to get content on there, and also to get content into conversations, than potentially like the very visual platforms like Instagram, or the video-led platforms as well, where we know that a 30-second video takes a long time to record something. So my prediction, I think Threads, the numbers are really now stacking up. So I expect some more growth in this area next year.
Great additional context.
Not sure about this one though.
yeah. Ghost posts, ephemeral content. The positive sign of that is like, again, it's leaning into like social as it was before, where social we're not so fixated on the aesthetic. We get a little less worried about like the commentary and the narrative, because it's like, hey, here's my update, here's my kind of throwaway commentary. Maybe it's an update from an event you're attending, could be something like that. But with like ghost posts and reply approvals, it starts to, allow us to kind of relax a little bit, drop the shoulders, and go, actually, there's less risk to posting here in that instance. So I see that as a positive. Do I think there's a game-changing feature? No, but again, it's just kind of leaning into that more social media kind of as it was type of vibe, it feels.
Just in case you weren't aware, ghost posts disappear after 24 hours. So
Thanks.
A little bit like stories, but just text.
Yeah, thanks for adding that. Similar thing about like the kind of community vibe, TikTok bulletin boards, which are exactly the same as broadcast channels on Instagram. Again, like leaning into the point of like people want to feel connected to the people and the brands that they follow. So again, no massive difference here, but it just goes to show that because Instagram has seen good growth on that, TikTok are reflecting that. So I think it perfectly paints a picture of the kind of two sides to social media, the kind of, the reach orientated element of short form content, and then the kind of the deeper need for more direct engagement and interaction. And again, this builds on that narrative that more and more discussion is going to these smaller spaces rather than being direct comments on a post.
Yeah.
So similar thing, YouTube communities, again, feeling connected to a creator. And you really get the vibe when all of these multi-billion-dollar organizations are adding similar features. You can recognize that they're adjusting for an emergent user behavior here. So again, communities, the fact that all of these platforms continue to support that just goes to show where the demand is flowing. And because of all this narrative, and we know that engagement is important on LinkedIn, we know that lots of people hack this. I mean, there's ways of hacking it, I guess, by playing by the rules, by saying like comment playbook to get my playbook, which I'm not a fan of, but don't hate the player, hate the game. But it sounded like you were going to say something on that one, Luann. I'm sure you got thoughts.
I'm just delighted. It just feels like there's a few things around LinkedIn recently, like there's long-term myths and hacks around, linking comments. Should you do this? Should you do that? Engagement pods. Like if you spend time on LinkedIn, you've seen this stuff for years, and it just kind of feels like they're suddenly confirming, like, stop doing this. It doesn't work.
Exactly. So I'm pleased to see them clamping down on some of the stuff. So should make LinkedIn more of a healthy place moving forward. Are you doing this?
Do this? No, you're
right. I'll carry on. I just feel like I've been talking a lot. So
keep going.
All right, AI and social. We can't have one of these sessions without talking about AI and social. But I want to reflect the real picture. I thought this data from Emplifi was really good. So this is, marketers are starting to embrace AI. No surprise there. But interestingly, what it's saying here is that we're not really seeing the impact that we expected right now, whether it's efficiency gains or productivity gains, whatever it might be. So we're not quite seeing it yet. So AI is not quite fulfilling its promise for marketers. Now, that could be product or feature capability gaps, or it could be educational gaps, like marketers not quite knowing how to leverage these tools, which are changing by the second, quite literally. So that's an interesting narrative there. But some of the other points of view that's quite interesting to see is that what's happening in 26, where are marketers going, and what's winning out here is predictive analytics and customer insights, which to me, I feel personally that's one of the most powerful uses of AI in taking all these disparate data sets and helping us get a level of understanding and empathy with our audience that we never could before. I think there's a huge amount of opportunity there. Of course, there's still lots of people going to be focusing on AI and automated content creation, which I think I'm kind of mixed on, to be honest, given everything that we've just been speaking about in the prior section that Luann was talking about. I think we should approach that with a degree of caution and not completely outsource our creativity to AI and the production of AI to support content, like clipping long form video clips into short ones. Yeah, all good. But like automating content creation, like AI generated avatars, kind of
comments.
Yeah, and that I think the thing that really, I don't want to get on my soapbox here, but that really bothers me at the moment is like AI UGC. I absolutely despise that. I think that really undermines a business's narrative. So yeah, I think anyway, I urge caution on that one. Any takes on this one, Luann? Because you know you've got good one here.
I just think this is the whole thing about AI. We've moved on so much in 2 years of talking about AI. When we first started talking about, oh, we can do this with it, and we can do this, and we can do this quicker. Things are moving apace, and the research and the insights I'm reading and following is like, this is a tool. This is a mindset shift. It's a culture shift. It's a whole change management program within organizations. Job roles are changing as a result of it as well. But I think this is a really good time of year as we come to the end of the year doing reviews to do those things that we've potentially always wanted to do, but didn't have the capacity to do because the volume of the data is so high. The task feels so big. If you've got 12 months of data and you want to analyze it, now's the time to test that out in an AI tool. Anonymize your data. Don't give it all the brand names and product names and campaign names and things like that. But it's certainly something that I'm doing at the moment with my reviews that I've always done, is I'm feeding it into AI to see if it can replicate my thinking, but also add to it and give me, new ideas and inspiration as well. So I think it's become more than a productivity tool, more than a hack for creating content. We should now be doing some really clever stuff with it.
Yeah, I love your take. And a final little ad from me, just an example. I was asked a question yesterday of like, how's best to test whether an ad works with my B2B audience or not? Is it just running a bunch of different variants across Meta and putting a little bit of budget across all of them? Or is there a better way? And I'm like, there's definitely a better way, because every single general purpose LLM, whatever you use, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT, are amazing at like being a synthetic audience. No, it's not perfect, but like feed your ads and narratives into that. Ask your chosen LLM to act like your target audience, basically describe your target audience as accurately as possible, and ask the LLM to reflect back the feedback. I'm like we shouldn't be like spending money to try and guess whether an ad works or not. And no, this answer isn't perfect, but it will be amazing at shaping that additional point of view on our first pass of whether that doesn't have to be an ad, but any type of content will resonate, any messaging. Like, we have the world's knowledge, that's free for us to access to give us feedback on stuff. And I still think there's still a large knowledge gap between what is possible and what is good to use LLMs for and what people are using it for. So
yeah. I think I'd add the role playing with your customer persona on AI LLMs is amazing, but take it a step back. Sometimes, particularly if you're a lone marketer or in a small team. So I've been working the training courses that I write and also with my clients is like, I want to test these things because this is what I want to find out, and literally like working with an AI tool to build my testing program in a really robust methodology, which I do know this. I've studied this. I've done it before, but just it makes it quicker and it makes it more accurate. So I've been developing like long-term testing programs, starting off with budget, then image format, and then once we've decided those two, what do we do next? So use it as your thinking partner as well. But the role playing is brilliant.
Yeah, love that take. Love it. All right. Other AI orientated stuff. So TikTok's some AI assisted inspiration for posts, quite tactical, but again, can be quite useful to unlock kind of video script ideas, etc. This is a really interesting one. It's related to AI because certainly if you're in like a B2B software type of industry, like Reddit and G2 rank incredibly highly, or weighted very highly when people are running queries in LLMs to what's the best product for X. Reddit and G2 come up really high. So that partnership is a really interesting one to keep tabs on. Natural language search in LinkedIn. There was a lot of criticism over this when I was reading this in the news, and I don't understand why, because anyone who searched on LinkedIn will realize that search is absolutely rubbish most of the time. So natural language search is actually really interesting when you want to get a bit tighter on, hey, I'm trying to find product managers that work in tech businesses. Obviously, this is a very narrow view of the world that I have, but for the type of people that I might want to connect with, it's now so much better at using that natural language search. So immediate use cases for that is if you're trying to find, creators, collaborators to work with, maybe people that are talking about your brand. This could be quite useful. So that's rolling out slowly, but I think that natural language search is actually going to be really useful.
And dare I say the word, Andy, because it's your trigger word, but this is replacing the old hashtag style search of a specific keyword, isn't it?
Yeah.
That actually we can be more human with our content, which is why we shouldn't be using AI too much, because authenticity. But this is where it is much more conversational and real versus the I need to think of keywords that people will use for search.
Yeah, exactly that. Fully agree. Okay, there was another report on AI search traffic by industry. I know it's a social media update, but social media and search are basically one and the same. So, and social media impacts search dramatically and increasingly more, as we know. So that's why I want to include data like this. So a couple of key takeaways from this report from Conductor. Number one is that in tops, only about 3% of monthly searches happens across LLMs. The rest is handled on Google and Bing, right? So AI search is still absolutely tiny, which you wouldn't think about when you're in the kind of LinkedIn echo chamber, because this is all everyone talks about. Marketers are losing their mind. However, so let's just be a bit real. Mostly is still happening on Google. Now, there are definitely industry differences. So IT, unsurprisingly, is the one that has the biggest share of AI search traffic. We'd expect that. Across the board, it's growing 1% month on month, AI search. So it's definitely becoming a thing. It's definitely something that we need to have on our radar for sure. But Google still absolutely dominates. So still optimizing for Google is absolutely key. But a couple of other points is that on Google, and this is one of the more challenging things, AI's overviews are now triggering in between 25 to 50% of searches. So, and that's only going to go one way. So basically the list of blue links is pretty much going away. And from a ChatGPT point of view, 87% of LLM searches are happening on ChatGPT. So we've got like a Google Bing situation where we have a very dominant player and one, more niche player. So hopefully that's given us a bit of an overview of what's happening. We don't need to lose our mind, but it is growing. Google will continue to be a challenge to drive traffic from. Yes, any traffic we do drive from LLMs and Google AI overviews is of much higher quality and is converting much better, which is good because higher intent. And the way that we can continue to rank will still be traditional SEO tactics, which I won't go in now. So a lot of it, even though the LinkedIn narrative is like everything's changed, it hasn't. It really hasn't. Good SEO is still very important, but the bit that is more important and more dominant is community narrative. So back to the point of like Reddit and LinkedIn rank incredibly highly, as we know, in LLM search. So that whole community narrative that we just had earlier in this session, incredibly important in driving the word of mouth sentiment around our business to ensure that we get surface in AI overviews and LLM answers. Sorry for a long narrative, but hopefully that's clear.
It's important. Okay, I'm going to do this. So we've talked about creators, we've talked about influencers over the last 12 months and before. So this is one of our other kind of summary trends. Or is this the same report from Emplifi? Brilliant report. Influencer marketing is entering its next phase. This applies across B2C and B2B. So it's not just a B2C area, it's significantly growing in B2B as well. Influencer content, brand strategy is front and center. Organizations, brands are investing in this quite heavily now. We've talked a lot about influencer content. It's not going away. If you're not doing it yet, it should absolutely be in your planning for 2026. And there's a brilliant book out on this called Spheres of Influence by Andy Lambert.
Bless you.
Buy it now.
You're very kind.
And at the same time, creators, the creator economy. So brands are investing in creators. Creators are, building, they're still growing. People are making a living out of doing this. The creator economy advertising market will hit $37 billion this year. So that's faster than any other media channel. is growing and will continue to grow. So again, the stats are backing up what we've been seeing.
Yeah, that's massive, that is.
And you mentioned UGC in terms of AI, but UGC as a focus for marketers. Isn't this just a brilliant way of working with our customers, working with influencer partners, working with creators to get them to do the work for us? We've always known about the importance of social proof and testimonials and case studies. We've now got this in our intent for UGC, whether that's mentions, feedback, other kind of content. It isn't easy. It does take time. It's kind of a quick win, but at the same time, you do need to think about the quality of the content, who you work with, their reputation, etc. So UGC, influencer creator, it's where it's at. And in turn with that, we've got some more LinkedIn. We've said ad spend is growing. LinkedIn ad spend. So for those of you that are focused on B2B spending in LinkedIn, which we know the perception is it's expensive, but it is getting results. They have added new formats over the last 12 months or so. So we are seeing a big growth spend on LinkedIn advertising.
A lot of that's coming down to thought leader ads as well, which are surging at the moment.
We love thought leader ads. So if you're not aware of thought leader ads, this is the format where you can take the content from an individual's profile. So this could be an employee, it could be a partner, it could be a conference speaker, and you can promote that post through a company page. So it doesn't feel like an ad. It's literally kind of adding budget to get more reach, impressions, engagement on a post that's come on an individual's profile. I've seen this used for all sorts of content, whether it's just someone doing an update post or even more planned now in terms of producing annual reports, sharing it from your C-suite's personal profiles rather than the company page and putting money behind it. I know many organizations are working with partners and ambassadors, conference speakers, promoting them as well. So it's just such a great format and really easy to set up. Was easy to set up, but LinkedIn are making it even easier now by prompting you as soon as you go into Campaign Manager to do this.
Yeah, I love this. Yeah,
I love this.
Yeah.
And Instagram as a platform, isn't Instagram one of the platforms that seems to have had more changes than anything else?
Mm-hmm.
It is still a big focus. Instagram stats are now aligned with Facebook in terms of active users as well, so it's kind of on a par. Slightly different demographic profiles, but in terms of, again, this is an Emplifi report. What are platform priorities in 2026? Instagram is top. This is across both B2B and B2C. Instagram is top, then LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, X, and Snapchat. So Instagram is quite a priority. And if you've heard us on previous sessions, then there's so many different features within the platform now. I think we shouldn't be talking about it as a whole. We should be talking about Instagram Reels versus Instagram Stories, etc. It's a great platform. And they have added competitor insights. So if you recall last month, LinkedIn took this away from us, unless you pay for a premium company page. Instagram have given us competitor insights. So through the app, you can go in, add your competitors, and you can start to see some data around their engagement and the content that they're posting, which I love this. And I included this one because we often include these updates. We like to include updates that are direct from source, no better than following Adam Missouri on Instagram, because he shares these things direct from source. Every week, he doesn't ask me anything. And I picked this one because he literally said, 5 simple things you can do to increase your reach on Instagram, which is the question everyone's always asking. And his answer, include a hook so that you keep people watching beyond 3 seconds, so get straight to the point. Do turn on captions for those that may have accessibility issues or just genuinely helpful for everyone. Instagram now has AI translations for other languages. This is a relatively new feature, but Missouri said if you turn those on, that will help your reach because it will take your content to people that speak not just the native language that you've posted in. Add music. I know that can be challenging depending on the type of account, but add music, and also use that trial reel feature, which shows it to non-followers for the first 24 hours. So straightforward stuff. This isn't hacks. This is just using their features that are available.
That's fascinating. The captions bit is interesting because I always use other software to caption my videos. Makes me think about that slightly differently, rather than doing that, like using the native captions on Instagram. I might try that in future because, of course, that will probably yield some benefit for search and SEO, like Instagram SEO, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fascinating. So just proof that when you and I do these sessions, there's bits that I need to reflect on and go, I can improve that too. So yeah, anyway, love this.
Yeah, every session there's always a list. And also, not surprising, they are prioritizing both reels, that content that keeps people on the platform and engaged, and also this, again, we haven't talked about it for a while, but this user behavior shift over the last couple of years of private messaging versus public commenting. So you can now DM from reels, encourage DMs, encourage shares. That's the engagement signals that we're looking for now, not necessarily the old school. Let me know in the comments what you think. Anything else?
Yeah, some other stuff. Basically,
Some other stuff.
there was some stuff that I was like, it should make the cut, but I can't think. There's no theme that fits in. So here's some random stuff for you. So if X is still your thing, they've changed how they handle links, which is actually quite an interesting approach. So it used to be the case that they went through a period of like killing links, but now they're allowing links to open without leaving X. So it's kind of a balance between how links could work and how they used to work. So if you're still doing links, they've improved how they handle it, or if you're still doing X, they improve how they handle it. Blue Sky is still about. I saw some press that they'd hit 40 million users, but overall engagement is declining. I think it will continue as a niche platform. That doesn't mean that it's dead for anyone that's using Blue Sky. Has some really passionate users that are sticky on the platform, but it's just not growing. So if you're looking at another platform to expand your footprint in 26, Blue Sky is probably not that one. And this one is important for those that are really dialed into YouTube, and especially doing stuff with creators as well. So now you can look at a split between paid and organic performance, so you can understand actually what drove the growth of a video, because those numbers, and I'm sure many of us are aware, when we run paid media, it's very hard to parse out what was the impact from both organic and paid, and now they've made it much easier. I thought this was kind of funny. So X has launched a bangers account, which I do love the name of that, if I'm honest. Basically, they started curating like the best tweets from across X and surfacing it in that bangers account. So the only reason I surfaced that, because one, it's kind of an interesting approach that a social network is taking, but two, if you're looking for kind of content inspiration for the stuff that even a network really thinks is amazingly good, can be quite useful to look at. But do I think there's probably any of it that's useful for a business context? Probably not. But yeah, we always like a bit of inspiration. Do you want to?
I just want to go back to wondering what generation the language bangers most appeals to.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Ours.
Yeah.
We've rattled through that today, so hopefully there was something in there for all of you, not to panic or overwhelm you, but things to get you thinking as you're doing your year-end reviews, your 2026 planning. What is happening? Most engagement is happening in DMs, so you need to be thinking, will someone share or save this when you're creating your content? Be thinking about social search, natural language, keywords, support discoverability. Read your posts as if you don't know anything about your business. Your customers have never heard of you before. Everything is that kind of first impression now. It's a bit like when we were thinking about pages on websites. Not everyone comes through the homepage and navigates nicely. Every social media post could be the first point of discovery now. So we have to get more explicit in using captions. People might not read them all, but the search part of these platforms will do. And we've said it once, and we'll keep on saying it. Communities are key. So research them, join them, participate them. We loved having you in London last year, our community as well. So please do book and join us next year. Adding it at the end, we'll put the link in the chat as well. If you want today's slides, scan this in now. We'll send those to you. Otherwise, that is a wrap for 2025, Andy. The next session update will be on the 29th of January. You can find the link on my LinkedIn profile. Who knows what's going to happen between now and then, but I'm sure these themes will continue because it's an evolution, isn't it? We see these things appear gradually. There isn't significant, touchwood, overnight changes.
No, there isn't. So yeah, well, thank you everyone for staying with us. I know these, it's hard to take 45 to an hour out of a day to watch this stuff. So thank you for being part of it. Thank you for always the feedback that you're sharing. And yeah, it's hopefully everyone can enjoy a bit of time off over Christmas when it gets there for another crazy year working in social in 26.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.